Thumbs up, two thumbs up, ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Hey,
Top of the
everybody.
morning.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever the heck you are. Unless you're in the space
Happy
station.
time.
Happy time, wherever you are. Welcome back to another episode of The Nerd and the Scientist. I am the nerd, Benjamin, and with me, as always, is scientist nerd, Kovi. How's it going, Kovi?
Good, Benjamin. I am
Jazz hands.
traveling around in the US, as you know. For folks who might have listened to our previous episode, we were filming together in person for the first time. It was just beautiful. I'm so
It was
glad that we got
nice.
to do that.
That was funny.
And I wonder
It was funny.
if any of our audience figured out where we were recording. Probably not. I guess I'll
I
never
think we
know.
dropped a couple hints. I think we did. I think we dropped. I dropped a major hint in the write up I did for I think it was a LinkedIn post about it, and nobody got
Mm-hmm.
it. It's still there.
Huh.
See if anyone can get it.
Well,
uh,
let us know in the comments if you have figured out where that episode was recorded.
mm-hmm.
Just do a little bit of detective work, see if you can figure anything out.
Yeah,
But yeah, how are you doing, Benjamin? How's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to record another episode. Also, we would like to wish a happy Passover to all of our fans and friends and listeners who are celebrating. And speaking of Passover, this episode we're going to talk about things that are passing over us right now.
I
Satellites,
love it.
space stations, GPS systems, communications networks, telescopes, airplanes. Those are all passing over us as we speak. And I thought we might start off with a pretty big one. Kavi, you are here in the United States, as we just mentioned. You're still here, and part
Yes.
of your trip here, you saw something quite massive passing over us, and you're in the shadow of it, as it were. Tell us about it, Cavs.
Yes. Oh wow, gosh. There was this crazy event that happened that resulted in traffic jams across the nation.
Wow.
And it was, in fact, a total solar eclipse. For those listening who are unsure about the different types of eclipses, there are three types of eclipses, and they all involve the way that the Earth, Moon, and Sun will line up. So when you have the Sun and then the Earth and then the Moon, that is called a lunar eclipse. The thing that I saw the other day was when you had the Sun and then the Moon and then the Earth. That is called a solar eclipse. The Moon blocks out the Sun. And the third configuration, when you have the Moon and then the Sun and then the Earth, that is called an apocalypse. That is
I love that joke.
bad.
I didn't see that coming at all.
It's just the perfect way. Like, I can't explain the first two without using the opportunity to describe the third. It's
Of
a wonderful
course.
gag. But yes, life-changing experience. Got to see a total solar eclipse, which I will continue to be obnoxious about this for the rest of my life. There is an infinite difference between a 95 or even a 99% total eclipse to 100%. Totally different experience. Any folks listening, if you have the chance to see a total solar eclipse as the moon passes over, or the shadow of the moon passes over you, blocking out the sun entirely, it is beautiful, it is serene, it is majestical. Check it out if you can. I think the next big one is in Spain 2026, and then after that in
Yes.
Australia 2028. So, yes, do it, see it, it's magical.
Man, did you see the ring and the diamond ring thing? And did you like the little? What?
It's
Tell
just
me,
like
tell me, tell me.
like okay, so as as a scientist, right, like, you understand conceptually what's happening. You normally see the sun, and now you
Sure.
don't see the sun because the
Sure.
moon is blocking it, and that happens because the moon is, 300 times or so smaller than the sun, but it's also 300 times closer. So the effective size of like the disk of the moon and the disk of the sun in the sky is the same. That's how it works. But when it blocks out the disk of the sun, you can still see the corona, this kind of like outer layer of the sun, which are these kind of filaments of um, superheated ionized gas, and it's magnetized. And like when I say superheat, I'm talking like millions of degrees hot. And these crazy wispy tendrils of plasma, we normally can't see it from Earth. We have to use special telescopes like radio telescopes. Um, and when the total eclipse happens, you can see these wisps extending out from the sun, and it's just
With the naked eye?
incredible. With the naked
You can see
eye,
with the
yeah,
naked.
you with the naked eye, you can see the corona. A lot of people were reporting that they saw a prominence coming out from the southern region of where the eclipse was happening. This kind of bright pinkish purple burst
Right.
of coronal material. It was just magical. I've said that twice now. I'm going to say it a
That
third
sounds
time. It
wonderful.
was magical. Yes, indeed. Have you ever
Magical.
seen a total
That's
eclipse?
amazing.
Have you ever had a chance?
No, just on TV, and I regret not going. And then
Wow,
as it was
wow.
happening, and I'm watching a partial eclipse from California, I'm getting text messages from friends in Texas, like, "Why are you not here? This is something you talk about all the time, and you're not here." I said I'm just, being economical, and I'm waiting for it to come to me in 2046.
2046.
Yeah,
Note that down in your
so I got
calendars,
time to.
folks, for all the Californians. But yeah,
Wow, I'm happy you
definitely
saw
worth
that.
checking out. Thank you.
S-
It's
Speaking
a
of
rush.
other things that are going to be kind of in a way passing over us, um, the Devil's Comet, otherwise known as the Pons Brooks Comet, is currently visible from Earth, but it'll be passing over us, or at least making its close approach, on June 2nd. And I
Mm.
found out why the Devil's Comet got its name, the Devil's Comet, because
Ooh.
the eruptions coming from its nucleus are positioned in such a way it looks like it has two horns of gas coming off of it. Hence, it looks like a devil. And there you have it. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the Devil's Comet other than that's very, very, very pretty?
I mean, that yeah, that about sums it up. But now I'm curious why it got that name, because a lot of comets will end up with a double tail.
Hmm.
Um, because there is one comet, one tail that's related to the direction it's traveling, and
Hmm.
another comet that's related to its position relative to the sun. Um, so it'll be trailing behind it, in the direction that it's traveling, the main tail, but there's also another tail that will be kind of like behind it relative to the sun as a result of material inside of it being heated up by the sun and kind of creating a tail of gases and stuff that as they're warmed up from their more frozen state, they produce this trail of gas. So a lot of comets have two tails for that reason. I wonder why this one got stuck with the devil's name.
Well, if you don't like the Devil's name, and this is on NASA's website, people, it has another nickname
Uh-oh,
that's taken the
I'm scared.
world by storm. And by the world, I mean the comet loving populace of our planet. Uh, the, the Devil's Comet swings by every 71 years, close ish,
Hmm.
a little more frequent than Halley's Comet coming by every 76 years. And between the Devil's Comet's last approach and this approach, a incredibly huge cultural phenomenon has occurred called Star Wars.
Hmm.
Star Wars came to be since the comet's last passing, and now that it's coming by, a group of astronomers have given it a new nickname, the Millennium Falcon Comet, for a specific reason. A specific reason. Its tail is actually very
Mhm.
broad and bright blue, and it kind of looks like the Millennium Falcon streaking through the sky or the stars in the movies, and hence the Millennium Falcon Comet. If you don't remember the Devil's Comet, if you don't remember the Pons Brooks Comet, you're gonna remember the Millennium Falcon Comet.
Amazing. I
Ah,
love it. I love it.
ah,
Yeah, comets are
man,
fun.
comets are great. I have one.
Do you have a
No,
comet?
I don't.
Oh,
No, I don't.
why not? Now
Superman did.
now I feel like I mean,
He
you're
did.
setting the bar pretty high.
Well, Superman had a dog named Crypto and a monkey named Beppo and a cat named Streaky, and he had a horse named Comet. So, boom, mic drop. Super pets. You're welcome, DC Comics friends. Stick it up your nose, Marvel Comics friends.
Uh, love it. Love it. All right. What other things can you tell us about that are passing over? Uh, it's like
Well,
Superman
sure. I got
flying
a few.
above us.
I got a couple things. Things are passing over us at different altitudes, and in the case of things that we put into space, um, there are different kinds of orbital zones that we have. We
Hmm.
have closest to us the TAO, or transatmospheric orbit, and then above that the VLEO, very low Earth orbit, then the LEO, low Earth orbit, then the medium Earth orbit, and then the high Earth orbit. And that fine line between the medium Earth orbit and the high Earth orbit is something called the geosynchronous or geostationary
Hmm.
orbit. It's at this specific distance. Do you know what distance this is?
Geosynchronous, I feel like it's about 30,000 kilometers. Is that?
Close.
Ah,
35,786.
what's
Yeah,
5,000 kilometers between friends?
what's 5,000 kilometers between friends? It's nothing, nothing. Anyway, it's at this altitude that things orbit uh, the Earth once every Earth rotation. So basically, just if you put it over Africa, 35,000 35,000 kilometers straight up, it's going to be over Africa forever until, of course, things change. So, starting with our transatmospheric orbit, that is any orbit that is up to or below 100 kilometers. And
Hmm.
to kind of put that in perspective, the famous Kármán line, I'm sure everyone's heard of the Kármán line, is what many of have adopted as that's the edge of space. That's the end of our atmosphere, and that's where mostly empty space begins. And that's the top of the transatmospheric orbit.
Cool. So it's basically if you've, received that check mark of I have been to space, you have
Hmm.
crossed probably close to this
Right,
transatmospheric line. Cool. Gotcha.
right. And this orbit is not really a useful orbit because you're skimming the atmosphere, and that's a lot of friction, and the orbit will decay rapidly. But it's because
Mm.
of that many booster separations or stage separations for rockets happen in this area, because once that happens and the next stage ignites and it carries on, the stage that brought it there is now going to start interacting with the atmosphere, which will bring it back down.
Back
The
down to
next
Earth.
level is the very low Earth orbit, which starts at about 100 kilometers or 62 miles, and it goes up to about 450 kilometers, 279 miles for our American audience. And this is the most crowded orbital zone around Earth as far as communication satellites, Earth observation satellites, military satellites, spy satellites, same thing. Um, and this is the place where the Space International Space Station resides, at the very top of this zone, at about 450 kilometers up.
Hmm.
And it takes the space station about, what, it orbits the Earth about every, like, 15 and a half times a day, something like this. It goes about
I think
17,500 miles an hour.
the
So
number in my head is
about 50.
90 minutes per
Mm-hmm.
per orbit. Does that work out?
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah. Quick math. I
Sure, I like it. Yeah, it's about
should
right.
get myself an abacus. Nice. Very nice.
It is quite nice.
Yeah, cool. And then I guess the satellites that continue to be up in medium Earth orbit and high Earth orbit are things like GPS satellites,
Mm-hmm.
telescopes. Right, 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 right. And those
Right.
extend out to, thousands or tens of thousands of kilometers. Huh.
Even more.
Even more.
They're
What's the
actually
furthest? I mean, I guess if you're
well.
considering,
There,
yeah, go on.
it's odd. Uh, Once we get to about, from what I was reading, once you get past low Earth orbit and medium Earth orbit, and you get to that geosynchronous zone, and that's where
Hmm.
we have all the stuff that we do, uh, most of our weather monitoring, and it, lots of good astronomy, because those things are pretty stable in their positioning, and it's very stable in their communication because they're in one place. Uh, and excuse me, but once you get above that into high Earth orbit, that's anything 35,000 kilometers and up, and space is
Hmm.
infinite. So 35,000 kilometers and forever. So what a lot of spacecraft are doing are taking incredibly highly elliptical orbits, like
Hmm.
TESS, which is the exoplanet hunter, the trans
Yes.
exoplanet something something.
I think it's the
That thing,
transiting exoplanet survey satellite, if I'm not mistaken.
there you go. That one.
Yeah.
That one orbits as close as 108,000 kilometers, but then it goes all the way out to 375,000 and then back again.
Hmm.
It has to go very, 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 very
Yeah.
far from us so it can get a good view away from us, and then it comes back down to maintain that orbit. And then there's
And,
the
yep. When it does
go
that,
on,
it
go on, please.
sorry. The so
That-
so that's the way that all of these satellites take advantage of that, really close approach is that they use that to actually transfer the data that they've gathered during that time. So I know some of the folks who work at TESS will, generally get very excited as that day of the month. I think it's on like roughly a 27 or 28-day cycle, every time it orbits back
Mm,
in, and it comes close, and they just get this trove of incredible astronomical data. But yeah, sorry, didn't want to interrupt.
yeah,
Didn't mean to
I can
interrupt.
imagine. It goes almost as far out as the moon. I mean, that's incredibly far. There's
Wild.
the Interstellar Boundary Explorer, or IBEX. It was only
Hmm.
meant to last for about a year, but it's been up there 15 years already, and it has an incredibly wild orbit, very highly elliptical. It goes all the way out to 220,000 kilometers out, but then it comes back in to medium Earth orbit. It dips all the way down and then sweeps
Hmm.
back out again. And it's just an incredibly stable orbit. And because of that, it's been able to run for so long, way, way, way past its life expectancy, which is actually kind of handy and nice. And
Very cool.
I was curious. I was like, I wonder how high up the James Webb Space Telescope orbits the Earth. And it's so high up, it doesn't. It doesn't orbit.
Yeah. You got to love those Lagrange points.
Mm-hmm.
For those who are not familiar, the Lagrange points are points in space where, when you are near the orbits of two or more massive bodies, so like the sun, the Earth, or the Earth and the Moon, there are these sweet spots where you're kind of just between the edge of the gravitational pull of one object and the other. So you can kind of find one of these Lagrange spots to chill in. And if you place an object in that Lagrange point, it will stay there. Um, and it's a great way to have a space telescope. It's a great place to have a space telescope without having to worry too much about, additional fuel to, fix up orbital decay or anything like that. So yeah, definitely check out Lagrange points if you're interested in learning more about this
Mm-hmm.
fun science.
So it's because it's the James Webb is actually a Lagrange point two, and doesn't that mean it's orbiting the sun with Earth? Right? They're orbiting together, sort of.
The Lagrange point two, you said? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so Lagrange point two is like just beyond, so a little bit further than um, the orbit of Earth, and then it will
Right.
just be kind of as the Earth goes around the Sun, the L2 point, Lagrange point number two, will be just a little bit further away from the Sun. But yeah, roughly speaking, yeah,
So cool.
it's very cool.
I have a question. I
Um,
want you to answer it.
yes, yes,
What's
you in
the
the back with
difference
the hat. What's your
between
question?
geosynchronous and what's the difference between geosynchronous and geostationary? Or are they the same thing?
Oh, okay, hold on. I remember looking into this once,
Come on, smarts.
and there was a difference, I think. Um, so so as you were saying before correctly, the whole idea with these orbits is that um, you can kind of be above the same point, right? You could so you have an orbit that's a 35,000 kilometers up, and it would orbit around the same point on Earth. So that would depend on how aligned the orbital path is with the rotation or the rotational axis of Earth. So a geostationary orbit is above the same point exactly because it's orbiting around the equator of Earth, right? Whereas a
Right.
geosynchronous orbit would have a slightly tilted, could have a slightly tilted orbit relative to the equator, if that makes sense.
Makes sense for me. I get it.
Cool. Perfect.
Our fans get it. They're good people.
Very nice. Speaking of our fans, I just realized that we haven't yet done our ad for today, have we?
Oh,
I have a
do you
little
have one?
something prepared. Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, we're talking about satellites and how busy the orbits are, especially low Earth orbit, right? Cluttered with all those satellites. So are you, Benjamin, are you tired of ordinary objects cluttering your space? Do you want to add a touch of mystique and elegance to your surroundings? Introducing Pyramidify. The Pyramidify device is your ticket to transforming any object into a stunning pyramid. Whether you're a decor enthusiast looking to spice up your living space or a creative professional seeking unique presentation ideas, the Pyramidify device is your ultimate solution. Say goodbye to boring shapes and hello to the captivating allure of pyramids. Don't worry, this isn't a pyramid scheme. Don't miss out on this revolutionary invention. Get your Pyramidify device today and elevate your world to new heights. Available now at select retailers online. Pyramidify, because everything looks better in a pyramid shape.
I think one of my favorite things is that it's not a pyramid scheme. It really should be. They're missing out. Yeah, I do want to pyramidify stuff. Hold on, I'm coughing.
Everything is better. You know, it's a good ad
Oh,
if Benjamin has to mute himself to cough.
oh. I want to pyramidify stuff now.
You can for the low, low price of actually no wait, what was I didn't come up with a price. Price
It's
to be
okay.
determined. Send
Right.
us your
Yeah.
credit card details
TBD.
and we'll figure out the
TBD.
rest. Uh, back on the theme of Passover and things passing over Earth, um, what what else is passing over people's heads besides punchlines and jokes?
Well, I learned that Hubble telescope lives in our low Earth orbit around 515 kilometers up. And what freaks me out is that 95% of all our space junk also lives in low Earth orbit. So some of our biggest waste, space waste, is circling the planet with one of our great satellite celebrities, I guess you could say it. Hubble is
Yeah.
dodging a lot of space junk. I don't know if anybody has seen or knows what the Hubble Space Telescope looks like. It's this long tube, and it's got a large flat solar panel along either side. And one end of the large tube has this big kind of flap, a big metal door. And that metal door serves a purpose. Um, Whenever it's floating towards debris, the fact that there is a lot of debris in in space where Hubble exists, and they had to prepare for this, which is kind of sad. Um, what this door does is it closes one end of the tube, which houses all these beautiful lenses, and it turns towards the objects it's heading to, which is kind of odd. If it hit it on the side, the whatever object it is could rip through the telescope and cause just irreparable damage. But this one door is actually quite thick and not bulletproof, but it's somewhat debris proof. And so they close this one door and they face the telescope towards what they're about to hit, which is lenses on, and it'll hit that door. I don't believe it's actually ever come to that or there's actually ever been an impact, but that's what they prepared for up there in low Earth orbit. Hubble and garbage.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before, but that is great that there is that possibility to protect the telescope as well. I think there's also an additional feature of that door, which is to block out like extreme sunlight. I think if Hubble like starts pointing
Yes.
too close to the sun, right, they'll also have that
Mhm.
door there just to prevent like oversaturating the sensors and just making
Right.
bad things happen to the telescope's inner functioning.
Just like if you try to
Um,
take a picture with your cell phone and you hold your hand over the cell phone to kind of block out some sunlight from seeping in.
mm,
It does a very
yeah,
similar effect.
exactly. Just
Correct.
like I tried to do with the eclipse. And trying to take a photo of the eclipse with your cell phone is a bad idea because nothing will live up to
It'll
the
destroy.
majesty of seeing it with your own two eyes. Except maybe
Do
like a
you
really
want to say how
expensive camera.
magical it is again? You want to say how magical it is again? Go
Magical.
ahead.
So magical. The most magical.
Did you hear the birds like wake up or something and fly away or whatever supposedly
Animals
happens?
freaked out. Yeah. Everything got real dark, got real cold. Birds started twittering or formally twittering, now Xing. So the birds started Xing instead of twittering, and um, things got things things got really like loud and then silent. There was a dog with us as well who was like really confused and started barking like crazy because he didn't know what was going on. It was magical. Sorry. Yes,
How was the
we
night
can go
sky?
back
Did
to
you
the
see the
episode.
stars and such? Did you see the stars in the daytime?
Yeah, I was able to see Jupiter and Mercury, I want to say. Never seen Mercury before with my naked eye.
Wow. Must have looked like a dot.
It's exactly it did indeed look like a dot, but I knew what that dot was. That's the main thing.
That is
I do
amazing.
have a friend
That's
who
so
was
cool.
watching the eclipse and with binoculars, and he was able to observe the Galilean moons of Jupiter with his binoculars during the eclipse during the daytime. But
It's
yes,
it's there's so many things that people want to try and do when the eclipse happens. Now, the preparation that people go through. Red Bull. Did you see what Red Bull did? Which was
what
quite
did Red Bull
interesting.
did?
They had this plan that they had two stunt planes, and
Hmm.
on the right wing of one plane was part of the curve of the sun, and the left wing on the other plane was the opposite partial curve of the sun. And they practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced flying together specifically down the route that they knew the eclipse was going to happen, so that they could
Hmm.
be close enough to each other as they're flying, so that then they did that flight during the eclipse so that they could fly specifically above a camera aimed at the eclipse, and they would cross right through it so that the tips of the wings where the curves were would line up with the actual eclipse of the sun. And every picture I
Whoa!
saw, they're a little bit off, but the fact that people prepare for such an event, a total solar eclipse, this beautiful astronomical event, it has people going giddy and trying all sorts of interesting creative art projects or advertisement projects, but still to incorporate that, I thought that was absolutely beautiful.
Wow. Honestly, yeah, that's really
Yeah,
impressive. Cool stuff.
yeah.
All right. Let's think. Besides eclipses and satellites and the Devil's Comet, are there any other
Hmm.
things that are passing over us regularly, or perhaps something in the future that we should keep in mind?
I don't know. Other than airplanes, they fly over my house way too much. Drives me crazy.
There's one, just picturing Benjamin standing outside his house going, "Damn you, airplanes!" But they
I
cannot
like
hear
them. I
you.
love airplanes, but I'm trying to watch TV here.
The noise. One other slightly more annoying thing that is going to pass over us that has caused a bit of controversy is a particular near Earth asteroid that people have been losing their minds over. Um,
Yes,
Benjamin, do you want to give us some background on this, or do you want me to?
I know the name is Apophis,
Hmm.
and I know the name has some creepy, scary undertones. And and I know that uh, every time people start thinking it's coming, it's going to hit us, it's going to hit us, the more observations that are made show no, it's not. But then they say, okay, it's going to hit us, hit us, hit us, hit us at this next date. And then as more observations come in, like, no, that's all I got.
No.
There's
I mean,
more.
that about sums it up. No, mostly, yeah. I mean, so like it's a big rock in space. So, we don't want it to hit us like that. We would have a bad time if like, this object that's, I don't know, it's like nearly 400 meters from side to side. It's just like a giant rock. If that hits Earth, bad things would happen. Um, but thankfully, we have all of these great organizations, like NASA JPL has a near Earth asteroid or near Earth object tracker. There are plenty of astronomical missions that are devoted to tracking near Earth objects, especially the potentially hazardous ones. And because of that, because of the follow-up observations and the science, we know that there is nothing to worry about with Apophis. It is not going to hit us. At closest, it will come about 30 to 40,000. kilometers above Earth, which is very close for an
Yes.
asteroid, right? It's
Right.
about a tenth of the distance to the moon. A lot of these near Earth objects, their distances are measured in LDs, in lunar distances. Um, so it's definitely the closest in a while, but the error bars or the uncertainties on the how close it could possibly get are within a couple of kilometers. So nothing to worry about there. Um, it will be passing in about 6 years, I think, or 7 years, and it will
Something
pass
like that.
above, and most people will absolutely not notice.
You won't notice, and for those that are actually following it, it's going to be an interesting opportunity to get some very good images or get some good science because it's coming by so
Yeah.
close and it's so big. It's an easier target to track. Lots of near Earth objects that swing by and everyone freak out about. They're small and they're detectable, and if they hit, they could cause maybe a little bit of damage, but nothing catastrophic. But this is massive, and I don't want to sound creepy like it's massive, blah, blah, but it is massive. It's large, and it's a big thing, and you can actually focus on it on its way in and on its way safely out, and you can watch it swing by and just see what it looks like. It's actually gonna be very interesting. I hope we get some good footage, images out of it.
Yeah. Nah, I reckon we'll have some good science that's done across all the wavelengths. I mean, it was using radar, right? So radio wavelengths to actually determine ultimately that this is nothing to worry about. And we'll be able to get all sorts of telescopes and astronomy and astrophotography and get a closer look at this big rock once it gets close to us. But yes, it will be passing over and not colliding with.
Right. It'll be passing through
Yes.
our medium Earth orbit zone, which is very, very, very,
Yep.
very high up. So don't worry about it, folks. It's not gonna knock out the internet or your Wi-Fi or anything like that either. It's just gonna.
Right.
That's it.
The creepy name is just so I think Apophis is the Greek version of Apep, which was this ancient Egyptian uh, god. I think was like the evil, just like the Egyptian sun god Ra, and I think that Apep is like his arch nemesis or something like that. I don't know. I'll see if I can learn any more about this ancient Egyptian stuff during Passover. Huh? Huh?
Yeah. Ah. Right.
Ah.
Yeah. Way to bring it
uh,
around.
yeah, we've come full circle, almost like an orbit.
Full circle.
Um, this has
One
been
orbit.
fun.
Wow. Man, double down. Nice.
Pew, pew.
Pew pew
This
pew.
has been a great episode.
This is a good one.
It's tough though
All right, gang.
to go from recording
Thanks for
episodes in
joining
person
us.
to online. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yes. Apart from New York at the moment, where else can people find you, Kavi?
Ah, yes. People, if they're around New York, can find me here for the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, you can find me on all of the social media platforms at Fun Fact Science. That's where I am, sharing the memes, sharing the science. What about you, Benjamin? Where can the good people find you?
Same place on the internet, just like Kavi. Just look for Science Actually and take a gander on Facebook, where I'm most active, and then also, of course, Instagram, Twitter, Mastodon, Hive, Threads, Blue Sky, blah 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 blah, blah. All of them. X, formerly known as Twitter, LinkedIn, and you know, at a or maybe even at a dog park near you. I put some stickers at a dog park nearby.
And remember that now you can catch all of our episodes, the video as well. Not including video of Benjamin at a dog park, but you can catch the video side of our wonderful faces from these episodes on TikTok and on YouTube. If you search for The Nerd and the Scientist, you can see maybe where we recorded that previous episode that we did in person. Um,
There is not a
and
there
as
are very
always,
few subtle hints.
nah.
The
Yeah,
TikTok and
we'll
the
see,
YouTube
see what
stuff are
you
so
can
new, I
see.
keep forgetting to mention it.
Well, let us know in the comments
Oh,
on TikTok and YouTube if you figure out where we've recorded. Um, and
yeah, that'd be
we will
nice.
see you next time.
See you
Yeah.
next time. Good talking to you, Kavi. Thanks, everybody.